Hi, you guys. So this is actually the answers and explanation video for strategy 5, which begins on page 22. But in this case, unlike normal, I went ahead and wrote some of the answers here so that you could see them instead of me just talking about them, because there's quite a bit to write on this. Sometimes I didn't write the entire sentence. If I didn't have room, I wrote the important parts that you needed to correct. So if we start here with number 1, we are to rewrite the sentences using correct capitalization. All right, so we capitalize Greyhound, but not bus, but we do capitalize both Baltic and sea. Here, where the line of dialogue starts, we should have a comma after called, and then quotation marks around the title. Looks like I messed up and didn't put the quotation marks there. The period should come inside the quotation marks. But just notice I didn't capitalize to or in because they're prepositions. And if you remember from the lesson, short prepositions and titles we do not capitalize. So there you go. All right, there was more to write on these. In some cases I wrote the sentence. In some cases I kind of went in and circled or underlined. So I'll explain that as I go through. All right, so number 2, Dan bought an iTunes gift card. You know, iTunes, if you've seen it in writing, the I is actually not capitalized. It's the T, so it's a little bit different. So I went ahead and did it that way. For his brother's birthday, it is the day after Memorial Day, and so we need to capitalize day also. All right, number 3, I didn't have room to write it, but we need to capitalize Mississippi River, proper noun. To Kill a Mockingbird is the title of a book, so actually To Kill and Mockingbird should all be in, or all should be capitalized. The italics are correct, though. She read an article called The Life of Harper Lee. Kind of like To Kill a Mockingbird, we need to capitalize the life, Harper, and Lee, not of. But in this case, it's an article, so it's going to be in quotation marks. That part of it is correct, not italics. So remember, short titles, let me clarify, titles of short works in quotation marks, titles of longer works in italics. Okay, number 4, we ate Cheerios. Cheerios needs to be capitalized. New Year's Day, even the day. And then Star Wars needs to be put in italics and capitalized. It is in italics. I underlined it because that typically is how you show italics when you don't have the ability to do italics. You're writing by hand. You know, back in the old days, we underlined titles rather than italics because typewriters didn't do the italics. And then here in number 5, we need to capitalize all of the words in this title. The quotation marks are correct, and then we also need to capitalize Grand and Canyon as well. All right, moving on to the next page, number 6. Which sentence has an error in capitalization? And it is actually A, the first one, veterans and day should be capitalized. Number 7, which sentence shows correct capitalization? Well, here we have Valentine's and day both capitalized. So for a holiday, if day is part of the name, we certainly capitalize it. And then Hallmark should be capitalized as well, but not cards. You know, Hallmark is the brand name, just the general product they make is not capitalized. And then number 8, it's B. You know, we've got the quotation marks around it. There were some that didn't capitalize all the letters it should have been, like here in A. There was in C one that capitalized to the preposition that should not be capitalized in the title. So that, you know, there was kind of some nitpicking and fine detail to do there to get to the answer of B. But newspaper article in quotation marks. The words are capitalized except for those short prepositions, articles, and conjunctions. All right, and then the last page of the work that you did. Number 9, rewrite the sentence using correct spelling. We had a few words that were misspelled. These people bought, B-O-U-G-H-T, ate, E-I-G-H-T. And by the way, these two words are in a word family together. Items with a bag full of coins with a I-N-S instead of a Y-N-S to make the oi sound. All right, so for 10 through 13, I circled the words, but also gave you the correct spelling. So throat, Throat is the correct spelling. Shriek, we should have had the I before the E, I before E, except after C. In complain, it was in the AIN word family that we saw in the instructional lesson. And then thought is in the GHT word family as well, just like bought and ate. So it needs to have that silent GH in there as well. And the last three questions of this one. Number 14, which word is in the same word family as right? And it's slight. It's in the GHT word family. 15, which word is spelled with the same ending as bashful? Well, it's harmful, the FUL suffix. And then finally, in 16, which word from the sentence has the same sound pattern as boil? It's boy, even though it has a Y instead of an I. Both of those vowel blends make the oi sound. All right, the workplace connection, it tells you that if you don't know how to spell something to check, check the internet, check the dictionary. That's great advice. You should do it. You can't do it on the test. So in that said, learn a few things, a few strategies about or how to correctly spell, word families, suffixes, vowel blends and their common patterns. And you'll get a few more of those questions correct, which will boost your score. Spelling's kind of a lost art in our society. I recognize that. Many of us, even us English teachers, struggle to spell. But that's an opportunity to get in there and learn how to spell correctly. All right, I'll see you again. And in fact, we're going to have a practice test before we go on with any further instructional content. So there'll be instructions on how to complete that in the module itself. All right, have a great one. I will talk to you in Strategy 6.